wish there was a way to find out if it's. Let's look in the comments.
It says we are live, brother.
All right. So, all right, I guess we're good. Let me hopefully everyone can hear. I guess if there's any issues with the audio, just let me know, guys. But I got my yoga hands on, as we can see here. So let's just do the intro. What's going on, Schwartz Force? Welcome to the first ever live stream. And I couldn't have had a better guest to join me. We got Average Joe from Average Joe Watch Reviews. Thanks for joining me, buddy. How you doing?
Oh man, you couldn't have a better guest, so you chose you had me because no one else showed up, right?
No, everyone will kindly decline, so you know.
Yeah, so I was standing in line, so but yeah, I've got my yoga hands on. Or should I say my Mickey Mouse hands, my t-shirt hands?
Just do some mimage. Yes.
Thanks for having me on, Dave. I'm actually very honored that you chose me to be your first live stream guest. So I want to thank you very much for having me on. I think we have a very good rapport. We actually did a not a live stream before, but we did a somewhat of a live edited version, and it was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, first collab I think on my channel, and here you are for my first live stream. You're hogging up all the firsts on the channel, my friend.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna have to let other people come in, right?
No, it's fine because honestly, like it's we got to start somewhere, and I figure it's
absolutely
the first of many.
Right.
I know yours was probably with Josh, right? J City. Y'all did your first live thing together, or first collab, maybe.
So my first collab live, like in person, was with Josh. There's so many different firsts because, like, technically my first collab, I believe, was Dave from Just a Watch, all the way from Japan.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so looks like we got some people in. We got Brian Trump. We got Mad Rock Adventure, Watches and Adventures. We got Mr. Honest Watch Reviews.
These are all like it's all the gang's all here. I feel like
the gang is who? Yes.
These are all cool dudes in the chat right now. So thanks, guys. This is awesome. I was telling Joe, like, I don't know, my biggest fear. I'm not nervous. I just hope people show up. You know.
Hey, we got my buddy Joey Bible.
All right,
he's in the chat.
I know. Joining us.
I know my fiance. She's watching on the TV, so she's not going to be in the comments, but she's watching.
We appreciate it. So I shouldn't have said guys and gals. There,
guys and gals. Yes, all welcome.
I like Mad Rock. He said this is his first time watching a love stream. He meant live stream, but hey, you know what?
There's a lot of love here, brother. So I don't know if that was actually a spelling or a autocorrect there. I think you might be onto something, man. I mean, there might be a bromance going on here.
Could be a new thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be what's that? OnlyFans? No, never mind. Take it back.
What are you drinking over there, man?
Oh, so check it out. I got a Sam Adams Holiday White Ale. Where's the?
Ooh.
Yeah, it was like a multi-pack.
That sounds good.
I wanted to get some American beer for election night, and so I figured, what's more American than Sam Adams, you know?
Oh, we got another viewer. Baby Madison's watching as well. So.
Oh yeah,
it's people are loading up, brother.
We got the most popular YouTuber right there joining in. So
I've got my water.
Is that a real wood container, or is that just like? Oh, okay.
No, it's faux, like but it's one of these. They're actually insulated, so it keeps the water cold all day long, man. It's unbelievable.
Love it, man. Well, I'll probably be needing a water here in a little bit. So,
but that does look like a good beer. I do like Sam Adams, like the seasonal stuff.
Pretty tasty.
I don't drink a lot of beer, but when I do, I almost sound like that Dos Equis commercials. I don't usually drink beer, but when I do, I get it's good.
Yeah, something like that. I think you're pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I before we get too far sidetracked here, let's do a wristwatch check. You're my guest. What you got on the wrist today?
Well, I thought this watch actually goes very well with our topic today, which I'm not gonna spoil it, but I'm just gonna show you the Galant.
That
It's a
the black,
Swiss movement. Doesn't mean it's Swiss made, but it's a Swiss movement
right?
for under $40.
Dude, I love the color on that too. Black and gold.
Yeah, you
Love
got
it.
the
Look at that.
gold indices, gold on the bezel. You've
Yep.
got the gold filling Oreo cookie, as you would say.
Yeah.
You know,
Got that
so
cream filling goodness on the crown.
pretty cool, huh?
Gallant, man, you know, and I know some people are probably like, I'm a fanboy of Gallant. I guess so, but I just they have such great value watches in my opinion, and they're not your normal, you know, homage thing, and I love homages, but they're just a little bit different.
They're original.
They're original, and you know they're good value in my opinion, and like you said, Swiss movement for under 40-50 bucks, like just I think it's a Ronda movement. I don't know the exact model. I'll have to look into that, but yeah, it's great. I mean,
Well,
it's good stuff.
and the reverse panda that I have that
Hmm.
has the Seiko mecha quartz in it for $35. Like it's like so Gallant really pushes the envelope when it comes to like really putting something that's quality in their watches for an extremely affordable price you can't touch.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
know?
love it, man. Let's
Yeah.
do a quick. I think we did a wrist check here in our comments too. So we got, let's see, Madrox got the Magret. Am I saying that right? Magret, Magret Moana Pacific Diver. So I know he just recently swapped this out.
42 millimeters is a good size too.
That is such a
For a
cool
diver,
looking.
that's like the
Yeah,
perfect size for a diver.
just such a phenomenal looking watch too, man.
Yeah.
I've seen that on his Insta and just amazing. And then we got Josh with the Notice
Yeah, he just
Center
got that
Field
today,
Watch.
man.
Really? Yeah, I hadn't heard about that.
That's a good looking watch, man.
Cool, cool. Hey, look at that. And then we got Honest Watch Reviews with the Rokos.
Rokos.
Man,
That's your
Rokos
favorite,
is,
man.
I love them.
I think he's wearing that for you actually. Because he
It's
knows you're a big fan.
for this live stream. Thanks for
Yeah.
bringing it today. Love it, man.
Representing.
Magretti.
Spaghetti Magretti, yes.
Magretti. I knew it was okay. So it's Italian. All right. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Yes. Well, I am rocking.
What are you rocking?
Okay, so I got the Frederic Constant
Oh, geez.
Classics Index.
Can't go wrong with that, baby.
That reflection. Yeah, I'd been kind of neglecting it, you know, a little bit. So I figured let's get it on the wrist for such a special occasion, special watch to tie it all in.
Mm-hmm. Looks like my fiance is wearing a Movado.
Yeah, it would.
Everyone knows that's my favorite brand of all time. As that was sarcasm.
I was gonna say I remember your video. Kind of lighting them up.
I was lighting them up, but I was lighting them up because I actually do like them. But I'm kind of disappointed with them. But you guys can watch that video. I'm not, that's for another day.
Yeah. Well, and then Joey. So Joey says his usual watch. You know what that is?
You know what his usual watch is?
What's that? the invisible.
He's empty wristing it tonight.
And we got either yoga hand or watch. You got to have one of the two on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring him some yoga hands then.
There you go. With
the David Schwartz branding on it. So you got to get on that, buddy.
These are actually really dangerous. Yoga hands are super slick from the yoga material. It's like if you tried to grab, if you were reaching, you're gonna fall off of I don't know, let's just say, an elevator shaft, and you got to. It ain't gonna happen. You're done.
Well, yeah, but at least you won't get burned because I'm sure your hands will be well protected by those yoga gloves.
It's true. That's true.
And what is the story behind these black yoga gloves anyway? I must have missed something. I mean, I remember you having them and just saying, so yoga hands.
Just out of nowhere. If you didn't see the initial video,
me up.
They came out of the woodwork. Real quick, I'm gonna do shout out for Mr. Brian Trump. He's got his Omega Constellation, which, man, if you saw what happened with that watch, where it got damaged from the watch repair person, that's really unfortunate what happened there.
Wow.
So, but the watch itself is a cool watch. I mean, I love the Constellation design. So
it's a classic piece, and honestly,
stuff.
they're not even that expensive to buy. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, and Brian, you can correct me, but I've seen these watches in the $400 range all day long.
Man,
and it's a solid watch.
Yeah, love it, man. So real quick, let me backtrack. So the story with yoga hands is I wanted because sometimes my hands get dry or they get kind of busted up from just doing stuff, and I just like, I wanted a nice looking glove, and with white gloves, the Mickey Mouse hands, for example, they get. I know they're going to get dirty. I know me. They're going to get dirty, and then I'm going to have to always be washing them. So yeah, there you go. So I figured let me get some black gloves, and I found these on Amazon, and I'm like, let me try them out. And when I got them, my wife started laughing because she's like, those look like yoga pant material, and I'm like, why are you laughing so much? So I was like, yoga pants, more like yoga hands.
I
Here
remember the
we are.
story. I do remember the
Yeah.
story
All
now.
right.
I just set you up for the people in the chat just in case. Wink. Yeah.
Well, we got Matt with beer and watches. What's going on, Matt?
Oh, good channel. Yes. This guy, he's a hustler, man. He
He
puts
recently
out
hit
3
1K too.
videos.
Yeah, dude. Congrats. Also
Congrats on
on
1,000 subscribers. And the guy puts out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, quality content. And he really hustles, man. So good job. You
yep.
definitely earned it.
Yes, sir. And then we got Miguel with SoCal Watch Reviews. So yeah, some of the OGs in the chat here.
Another good channel. I like
Well,
Mr. SoCal.
love it, man. So let's I want to kind of get into, now we got all our introduction. I think we let enough time kind of go by for people to join in. I'm sure I hope more will come, and hope you guys will stick around too. So everyone that's here, thank you so much. But I just kind of want to get on the first topic, which is thoughts on watch snobs and watch snobbery.
Yes.
I doth not let thy linens grace thy cuffs type of thing.
That sounded very Romeo and Juliet like.
You like that? Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Very old English.
So yeah, I'll let you kind of kick it off. What are your thoughts? Any experiences? Like, let's hear it, man. What's up with the watch snobs?
So I'm actually going to give you a watch snob company. Actually, I'm not going to name the company, but I actually experienced this being a YouTuber, and I like to reach out to companies. I'm not going to sit back and wait and just have people reach out to me. So
Okay.
I reached out to this particular company. They said, "Well, you don't have a lot of views, but you actually have an in with Dave from Just a Watch and Jody from Just One More Watch. So we'll give you a shot." And then she proceeded to say, "Yeah, well, you don't have a lot of comments in your comment section." And I was like, "Man, I mean, this is like a watch snob here. Like, I just started, guys. Like you got to start somewhere." So I feel like some of these companies out there, they have to give you an opportunity. I mean, watch the content. If you like the content, you got to realize that you got to start somewhere, man. I'm not going to have 150,000 subscribers like Jody in a year. I mean, it's not going to happen. So you definitely got to start somewhere. So there's watch snobbery in that, but I know that you're talking more about, the watch community. The people that, like I was talking about with Movado.
Yeah. Well, even just in general, I mean, that's a great example because that's kind of outside of what people are probably expecting us to kind of go over. So to hear that is that's crazy, to know that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's guys in the chat section here that can attest that, they've reached out to companies, and I'm sure that they've either gotten ignored, which is expected. I mean, I'd rather get ignored than to get clowned on. Okay. So I'm wondering if anybody actually in the chat sections actually had an experience where they kind of were gauged because they weren't big enough, and then they kind of were clowned on a little bit, because I feel like that's a little bit of watch snobbery itself. But the watch snobbery that I can't stand, that I see a lot of, is the Invictus snobs. And even maybe like if I'm wearing a Galant today, it's like, oh, that's a cheap piece of what from China. How could you wear such a thing? You have a Breitling in your collection, whatever. Like,
yeah,
who cares?
I wonder also if maybe we are in I don't want to necessarily say echo chamber, but maybe like, because watches in general, watch collecting, let's say, are it's already a niche kind of audience, or and so it's just, I feel like maybe we see it more being content creators than what you would see just out and about. Maybe
Right.
like on the internet, you maybe experience it more because of keyboard warriors than out in actual public, you know.
Right.
But let me see. Let's get some comments here. See what everyone else. I know Madrock was saying never experienced any watch company snob, so that's good. I know Seeker was saying, and also, hey Seeker, thanks for joining us too, man. Good to have you here.
Welcome, Seeker.
Yeah. So, you know, I totally agree, like with watches putting people off of watches and encouraging them. So I know Brian Trump, he's saying people that look down at others just because of their watches. Yeah, very superficial, right? To just be, hey, what watch do you have on? And then make a complete judgment call based on something like that. So,
well, here's the theory I have. I think that when people are considered or are watch snobs, I think they're snobbish just in general. I think it's a personality trait. So, you know, for instance, they're going to pick on someone with an Invicta, where in the same note, they might pick on someone that's driving a Kia, for instance, you know, and I'm not knocking on Kia, but like, I'm just saying, like, I think that it's just a personality trait that we as watch lovers see more so in the watch community, but I think it's more so the personality of obviously the person that's the snob. I think they're just a full-time snob, not just a watch snob.
I think it's I think brands are one thing too, like for sure Invicta, and we can dive into that because Invicta is a brand that gets a lot of hate, and some of the times I get it because they're like the branding. I know we have Matt, you know, joined us with Rock the Watch, and I know he did a video and counted the number. Yes.
Welcome, Matt.
Welcome, brother.
Rock the watch, baby.
And he was pointing out the number of times that the brand was on the watch, and it's just like crazy amount of times. Like, in case you didn't know.
Hey, Matt, wasn't that 8? I think it was 18 times he counted.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts because it was actually on like every single link on the side of the case. It was on the dial. I mean, it was everywhere, man. Like, in case you missed it, you know, we're going to put it on here 18 times.
Right. So now you know. Yeah. But they also do the thing of like the MSRP being $1,200, and you can have this watch for $250.
So here's the thing, Dave. I'm not a watch snob, but I am a watch critic. So if you're wearing an Invicta and you love it, great. I'm not going to make fun of you for it because, first of all, I'm not 5 years old, and I'm also just not a snob. But I am going to say for the brand, like you were saying, their marketing is completely it's dishonest. Okay, they inflate their MSRP. They put out tons of watches, so their quality control. You're basically, you know, if you buy 10 watches, you 5 of them might not be any good. You might have misaligned bezels, and you know, water might get into the watch itself and ruin it and stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff that drives me crazy, and which is why I'm not a fan of the brand. But if you love the brand, hey man, and a lot of people have really good luck with these watches, so be it. But I'm not a personal buyer. You know?
Yeah, I think what I've seen, I totally agree, and I like one thing that I've seen, and I have my comments moderated, like in the sense of on my YouTube channel, like if it gets flagged, I have to approve it. And sometimes that's good because it keeps, you know, some obscene things from being on the comment section. And sometimes it's bad because it'll be someone just linking a watch they like. Hey, check this out. And I don't see it for 3 or 4 days and realize, oh man, this was a comment I could have replied to, you know.
Right.
But I do get those that were haters that are just like, hey, this collection is absolute trash, in worse words, and how I should sell everything. And I'm thinking like, dude, like, I mean, you want to spend my money for me? Like, do you want to wear my watches too? Like, I don't understand. Like, you had to really go out of your way to let me know that you look down on me and my watch collection. Like, but I don't see them with a channel. I don't know what they have in their collection. So it's kind of like, all right, it's weird.
I think we have a watch snob in the audience. Am I reading that correctly?
It looks like it. So I like it. Seeker was saying for Invicta, you do get a lot of watch for your money. And again, he says literally, which I like, assuming you don't pay cost. Which again, if you're
I think literally you get like a lot of watch for your money.
Like you know, a massive. If you saw that collection I reviewed,
I saw that.
They can be pretty big.
I think every watch was 50 millimeter or above, man. And they were super thick too, man.
Oh yeah, massive thing. So Brian, we haven't admitted Well, he's saying he guessed he's a watch snob. So, but
The
I,
first step of recovery is admitting it.
but the thing is what's so beautiful about watches, and I think we can all agree, is that there's so many watches out there and brands and price points. There's something for everyone. And I'm almost positive there is nobody that loves everything like or likes everything. You could support, hey, that's you do you, but I know I don't like all watches and all
Right.
brands. So
Right.
I think the difference is the looking down on someone for owning it. So
Yeah. I mean, just like I'm not a huge fan of Movado, I still bought my fiance a Movado because she likes rose gold and it
mhm.
had a nice maroon strap on it, and it was just a great bargain. And I was like, I think Movado makes quality watches. Like I know it's not going to break on her, and it's a quality piece. My beef with Movado is that some of their watches are just like so exorbitantly high for no complications,
Yeah,
Swiss quartz movement,
quartz on top of
um,
yeah,
and you're really just paying for their marketing, man. I mean, that just, I mean, look,
yeah,
it's a choice, and to me, it's not worth it. But to a lot of other people, and that's one video I've gotten a lot of thumbs down on. So a lot of people don't agree with me.
yeah,
But there's a reason why they're in business, because they're doing something right. So,
yeah.
you
And
know,
it's also like, yeah, if you go to a department store, you're going to see them there. And so if you're not in the watch world, if that's all you know, that's all you have access to, you're going to see it and think automatically like that's a great value or,
I like
higher
to
end.
I like this comment up here. You can just like a
Yes.
watch and not be a snob. I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
I 100% totally nailed it there. I think that summarizes it pretty much like,
yeah,
yeah, there's a clear line between being a snob and just not liking something. I think it's in how you treat people, how you see them
yeah,
as a enthusiast or collector.
exactly. Different streaks for different freaks, as seekers would say.
There you go. I like how Honest Watch Review saying he personally would never spend crazy money on a proper watch in quotes, and the fun is trying to find the best specs for the least money. And I'm right there with you, brother, because
Yeah,
I love value. To me, value is one of the key things that I enjoy about watch collecting because I'm not the kind of guy that can just buy one watch,
right.
three watches, five watches, one pair of shoes. Nope. Like I don't even I have multiple belts, I have multiple I just collect things and like to have options. So um yeah, well,
Eh,
I would like to have a collection of luxury watches, sure, but
Well, let me tell you something. I got to give you credit because there's a lot of watches in your collection I've never even known about. Okay,
yeah.
and you really have some aesthetically good looking watches. And then
Thanks,
you
man.
have you have a gift of pairing your watches up with some really nice straps, man. I mean, you did a good job picking,
Thanks, man.
especially that light blue suede one that you have with your face.
Dude, you saw that? Like
That's a nice combo there, man.
I like kind of going outside the box and showing people that because you don't have to own 40, 50 watches like some of us. You can have three or five or whatever, or one,
Mm-hmm.
and really take the straps
Let's take
and
different
and do
straps and just
you
flip
could
flop
just
them, and
man have so much fun. And
yeah,
I know we've all done it here, because it's like I didn't know this when I was younger. Buying a watch, if it had a brown leather strap, I might not have bought it because I wanted a black strap, not realizing how easy it is to swap them.
Dave, I actually sold a watch because I didn't wear brown, and this was before I knew how to change straps out. So I just sold the watch. And then, like a couple years later, I realized that I could change my own straps. And that was my one watch regret. It was a nice rotary, it was a Breitling Navy Timer
Hmm.
homage. Man, I totally got rid of that watch just because of something so stupid, man. But that's what happens when you first get into the hobby. You don't realize
Right.
some of the stupid mistakes you make, like buying 60 millimeter watches
Yeah.
for $500. You
Yeah.
know,
These are some hard lessons we learn as
yeah.
down the road you look back in retrospect and think, dang man, what was I thinking? But
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the journey. And
Yeah,
if you're lucky, then you never make mistakes. You learn from everybody else's, but you also miss that experience. And
absolutely.
it's to me the part of the fun is relating with other people that have gone through the same journey.
I've learned the most in my life by making mistakes. You know, my parents did a really good job trying to pamper me and have me avoid making mistakes by saying, "Oh, well, you do this, this is going to happen." But I was always the kind of guy that wanted to find out what it was like, so I could make my own mistakes, so that I felt like I learned a better lesson that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I
So I
mean,
think it's the same thing in the watch world. You
sometimes
know?
you need a little trial by fire, and
Absolutely.
and I was gonna take a step back because syndicated satellite was saying it's not always about the looks of the watch, but how the watch performs. And I agree because yeah, sometimes a watch could have all the aesthetics down and just not not be well made, not have a great movement, and then that's a problem for me for sure.
Now, did you
So
see that Mickey Mouse watch I I
yeah,
reviewed?
the Nixon.
Yeah, so it's from Nixon, but the hands were like the same size, and like you could tell the hour by just like the middle finger if it's pointing at the number, and it was such a hard watch to read. So to me, it was more of a novelty. Like I would still like need my iPhone to tell the time because I'm like looking down at this thing. I'm like, all right, I give up. I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah.
So I think the watch has to be somewhat practical too. And I think the one mistake I used to make when I was first getting into watches is like buying those skeleton watches that like the hands just like completely blended in with the dial. So
Yeah.
I could never tell what time it was, but I'll tell you what, it was definitely mesmerizing looking at the piece. So, you know,
Yeah, that's some skeleton watches aren't my thing, and then there's some that look really cool. So it
yeah,
just kind of depends.
right, right,
But
right.
I would say they've grown on me more. Um, but one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I don't know if you've seen this, but maybe it's less common nowadays. But I feel like Seiko was a brand that actually dealt with snobbery, even Grand Seiko maybe with the whole Swiss versus Japanese, kind of looked down on.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're starting to get respect. They're kind of seen, I think, in that light of okay, that like Grand Seiko is more popular, but even Seiko, I think some of the diehard Swiss fanboys will look down on Japanese movements. Like, I don't know.
My and again, this is all personal theory. I mean, I'm no expert on the sociology or history of watch snobbery or anything, but I just get the impression that like if they went out and bought and paid $5,000, for instance, for an Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they take a look at one of these Seiko turtles that has really a good depth rating and it's really good quality, and the loom is just really on par, and it's like, man, I could have just bought like 50 of those for the price. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and of course the math isn't right, but I'm just saying, like, I could have bought a ton more of these watches than that. I think it's kind of like a little bit of like jealousy because Seiko gets a lot of love, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the guys that are like, oh, Seiko sucks, they're this, that, and the other thing. I think they're like a little bit jealous that their watch isn't getting the attention. You know, it's like the guys sitting over there in their Lamborghini, right? They're
Yeah.
sitting in the park a lot, and they're thinking all the women are going to pile all over them,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got like the smart guy that's taking home the cheerleader in his Ford
Yeah.
Taurus. You know, it's like, but I had
I
a
was gonna say,
Lamborghini. You know, like what's
yeah,
going on here?
I would say it's kind of like when you go to a car show and everyone has supercars, and then it's that one vintage or really rare thing that
Yes,
comes in and
that's
it
right.
steals the show, and it's
That's right.
like they're upset because they look at me, but everyone's looking over there, and maybe it didn't cost them 500 grand or whatever. So
Which leads me into like my number one rule of buying watches. You buy a watch that makes you feel good,
mm,
not what you expect, not the kind of attention that you expect. Because if you're looking for attention, man, let me tell you, you might get a lot of attention wearing a Rolex, but at the end of the day, man, it's not going to make you happy. You're going to be that miserable guy that you were before you bought the Rolex, probably even more miserable because you're going to be broke on top of it. So you got
yeah,
you got to buy a watch that makes you feel good, man. Seriously.
yeah, and that's I know you guys are going to crucify me for this, but so that Seiko that I picked up for hitting 1 year of being on YouTube was my first Seiko in my collection. And I know me and Brian Trump, he mentioned his SKX. I was first starting out the channel, he was kind of like, why don't you have an SKX, 007? Like, what's wrong with you, man? And I wanted one. I mean, I still do want one. I just never pulled the trigger on Seiko so early because
Right.
there were so many reviews already, and I was trying to build up a collection of things that I, maybe didn't necessarily see a lot of. But for sure, like it's on my list. It's just when I finally get
Yeah.
there to check it off,
It's because of you and how you felt. It wasn't about everybody else. So you finally said, "Hey, I want to try Seiko." So you finally got one, man. Congrats! Welcome to the club.
Yeah, and so I was reading through the comments, like for sure they've gone up in price. And I think that for me, that's going to be a problem too, as I'm sure it is with others, because it's like, and the Honest Watch brings up a good point. There's better spec homages for that tier that they're at. And when I bought that Fuyuga Shiki, which I'm saying wrong, I'm sure, I got it used because I wasn't gonna spend $600 or $700 for one new, and I
Right.
found a really good deal on it, and so I picked it up. But it has folded links, hollow end links. It's like a presage that, and I haven't done my review on it yet. Hard Lex Chris, no sapphire. So there's like,
Wow.
it kind of stung. Like I couldn't imagine spending $600 or $700 for this watch new, and it having not everything checked off on my box.
I mean, you paid that premium for a gorgeous dial, but the rest of it is just typical Seiko, right?
Yeah, but great movement. The accuracy on it's really good. I just,
Okay.
I can look past it, and I swapped out the bracelet as I tend to do on most of my watches. So it wasn't like a deal breaker. It was just more of that initial sting of like, it's a Seiko. I'm paying a part of that's the name and the reliability, but
Right.
it's such a cool looking dial. I just had to pull the trigger on it. So
It's the San Martins from AliExpress, man. They're definitely a legit brand. I've seen them all over YouTube, and I think Seiko, they could be getting a little bit nervous, man. But I think at the same time, though, they probably aren't, because they have such a following. They have such a history that I think they're still sitting pretty. But there's definitely some brands that are like, we can do it just as good, if not better than you, for a little bit cheaper.
I think they're definitely losing some of that marketplace, that share.
Yeah.
Dude, Matt, this comment cracks me up. I missed it. I had to scroll back. Look, one day, Grand Casio. It needs to happen. I mean, I'm with you.
I agree, man.
Could you imagine? People
Well, they already have the Royal Oak,
the Casio Oak.
The Casio
well, they have
Oak.
the titanium. Dude, G-Shocks can get pretty.
They can get pretty
high
expensive.
up there.
Yeah, you don't realize, but there's people that just collect just Casios.
Yeah, I know. Like Josh was saying, like some of those Casios, I think the titanium one is a couple grand. Like, I mean, it's just it's nuts. But yeah, I love it. So I know. Let's see, we got Orient Better than Seiko. Orient, tremendous value watches. Totally agree with you there, because maybe you don't have that $300 to $600 budget to drop for the Seiko, but Orient you could pick up $80 to $200, $300 all day long.
Well, Epson owns Orient, and Epson Seiko. I know they're not the same. Like Seiko and Orient aren't the same, but they're both owned by the same company. I think my issue with Orient, and I love Orient. I have one right here. I mean, you can pick this up for $120, right?
Yeah, automatic, day date.
It's not a hacking movement, but it doesn't bother me. What does bother me about this is the loom. I would have spent an extra 20, 30, $40 for something that had Seiko loom on it for sure.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
To me, a diver has to have good loom, and this is where this watch falls short. But if you're paying $110 for it, I can't sit here and complain. I just wish that they would have offered me a little bit more, and I would have spent a little bit more. That's all. But we got Joey Bible here. He's I know it's a Sagana, but if you this is my good buddy. If you buy a watch just because you want to look good and impress, I guess it really doesn't matter if you can easily read the time. That's true. I mean, look at the Richard Milles, right?
Oh yeah, the RMs. Yeah.
$100,000 skeleton watch that you can't read. They're
Yep.
so gaudy and Invicta like that. I mean, this is just for a rock star, an actor, an athlete, that can completely afford something that you can't even tell the time on.
Mm-hmm. It's a status thing. It
is, yeah,
totally. And you see that with a lot of watches. And yeah, it has nothing to do with the legibility or the practicality of the watch itself. It's completely style and the
do you
status.
know do you know Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank?
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary, very rich gentleman. He actually has I don't know if he has one or a couple of the Grand Seikos, and he actually recommends them for a new collector if they want to get into a luxury watches. He's a big fan of the Seiko Grand Seikos. I was kind of surprised by that. I figured, he'd be a Rolex president kind of guy, like
Yeah, sometimes you can't tell what people's taste is going to end up being. They can really catch you off guard with what they're into, which is And I think that's kind of like, again, I know our initial topic, we started on it. I know we tangented off and the comments are going this is all over the place, which I love.
I'm loving it. Yes.
Yeah. I know we were talking about like snobberies and watch snobbery. And so like, I don't know, like I've never gone into a boutique or an authorized dealer of a luxury brand, but I'm kind of tempted to do a social experiment of like going in and just seeing what the reaction is, and then having like I need Josh for this with his dentist friend, with going in with an actual like Rolex on, for example, and seeing if the attention to you is different than if you just walked in looking like
I think there's no question. I think there's definitely, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not a Rolex fan. I'm a huge Breitling fan because I can walk in looking like this, and they're gonna have a watch for me. I'm not gonna have to go on a waiting list. They're gonna wait on me because I have money, and I'm gonna buy a watch that day. Rolex is a completely different story, man, and I don't like the culture that it develops.
Interesting.
Because it's also developing that scalper culture where if, for instance, Josh's dentist friend walks in with his Rolex Explorer on, and he buys the red hot, I don't know, Rolex Submariner, then he walks out the door and he sells it to someone for $5,000 over the retail what he bought it for.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that good for the hobby? How is that good? You know what I mean? Like I don't know that for any other watch brand.
And I don't know what the solution is for that. It seems like it's really gotten out of control.
Because Rolex, their watches aren't limited. People have that preconceived notion, and they're wrong that Rolexes are limited. They're not limited. Rolex, they're exclusive. They kind of like they run limited productions, but they keep making them over and over. But they're causing a false sense of these are limited, and you must jump on them, and they're only for the select few. And it's just I don't like those kind of games, man. I really don't.
So let me ask you something. I know this is going to start up a frenzy for sure. We talk about, we know of fashion brands, right? And how they're looked at. Would you consider Rolex a fashion brand in the sense of, and I'll use this as an example, that people who aren't watch people want a Rolex? Well, no, not even that. Just they want the Rolex for the fashion status of it, not necessarily for the complications, for the exclusivity. If it's a rare one, vintage one, whatever, they want it because people will recognize it. And to me, is that any different from a Daniel Wellington that people want because they see it on Instagram? Not from a horological standpoint, but just from a fashion standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like from a sociological standpoint, you have a point, but I mean, obviously a fashion brand is much different than an actual horological watch that has tons of history and extremely quality handmade in-house movements. But yeah, I think you have a point when it comes to status symbols, maybe that could be taken as a fashion type brand, but from an actual definition, you're really splitting straws on that one.
I was just curious because that's these comments are great. And Madrock, I think that's where that got into my head, was probably from your vlog that I saw. But I was just curious how people felt about it, because I think that it's like, this is my problem with Rolex, right? We're on it. Let's dive into this, because we're already talking about it. I can't. This is where I guess I have a problem with it. I get people say it's a tool watch. It's a tank. This and that. I just think that the move, like, they're all there. Is there any Rolex that has an exhibition case back that you're aware of?
No, not that I'm aware of. I think that the Rolex has a very strict style, and they actually have a very it's a very clean case back, because they want to have the option of people engraving them.
Yeah. I want to see the movement. Like, to me, like,
I'm a big fan of that. Yes.
I'm like, and then I've seen enough videos of owners. This isn't like hearsay or some guy down the street. Like, these are people that own these watches, where they say stuff like, you don't buy a Rolex to tell good time, or it's not the most accurate. And to me, like, that's a problem. If I'm going to drop 4, 5, 10, 20 grand, like, I want it to be good on accuracy. I want it to tell time. Like, that's kind of the point for me, but I don't know.
Well, I know, I just saw.
Am I being a snob now?
Mad Rock is saying, like, current Rolex is totally a fashion watch. Like, you see these new Rolexes now with, like, these really bright yellows and these bright fluorescent colors now. They're totally kind of getting into, like, that, almost like they're following that trend. And another big problem I have with these Rolexes is, like, when people, like, they bling them out, they put all these diamonds all over them, like they just 50 cent it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, and this isn't Rolex's fault. I mean, they're doing this aftermarket, but man, like, that's definitely, like, you're turning it into a fashion watch at that point, right?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is you can do that with any watch, right? But
exactly,
they do it with
exactly
Nautilus. They do it with AP, like, Royal Oaks. You see it on all different.
My big problem with Bulova, for instance, and Bulova is one of my top 3, maybe top 5 brands, is that they offer watches made by them that are all blinged out with crystal all over them, and they make them look like.
Oh, the Bulova. I need to pick one of those up. I want to try one out.
I actually used to own one. It had crystals all on the metal bracelet and everything. And I mean, dude, I look like a rapper. I mean, it was nuts. But I mean, that to me, like, kind of illegitimizes the brand, because Bulova puts out a lot of really cool watches. They have a really good history, but then they kind of go into this crap phase of, like, putting out this garbage that they're not even real diamond. They're Swarovski crystals. And I mean, no real watch collector is going to wear that. Like, seriously.
Hang on, man. Look,
I mean, you have to
understand. Look. I will put on the iced out Bulova with my yoga hands, and then when y'all go to and hit the thumbs down on my videos, I'm gonna know who it is. I'm taking names.
Who's the Canadian rapper? Who's the Canadian rapper?
Eminem.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know what that is.
Six pack for sure. I get it. Man, I don't know. Like, I think Bulova is doing that to reach out to that demographic of watch person. Because they are all over the place. Look at Bulova has the Accutrons, they have the Precisionists, they have open heart design. They just kind of, I think it's just a matter of, they're like, yeah, let's just do it all. Like,
let's do it all. Yeah, exactly.
Yoga hands.
Yoga hands.
Let's get some thumbs up for yoga hands, Matt. I know we got We got everyone in the chat there, so I better see some of them thumbs up, guys. Share the love. Average Joe has his Mickey Mouse hands.
Hi guys.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my pathetic Mickey Mouse voice.
Is that what that was?
Guys. Yeah.
I thought someone. Honestly, I thought someone hacked into our stream for a second there. Like,
look, I never pretended to be an impressionist. It's...
Yep. Awesome, man. Well, I'm trying to think. Like, this is, and watch snobbery. Like, I think is a topic we could probably talk about all night.
Oh, yeah.
And I know we've tangented off too, in like a whole bunch of different topics already. But another thing I was going to ask you about, because there's a lot of content creators that are in our chat right now. And one of the things I was going to ask is like this right here. Have you experienced or dealt with any level of like watch fatigue? And this could be in the sense of consuming watch content or being on social media, YouTube, Instagram, all that. Like,
yeah. So as a watch content creator, you want to support your fellow brethren. So, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm a huge fan of a lot of guys in the comment section. Okay.
Yeah. All these guys,
so, I feel almost stressed out because I need to watch your video. I need to watch Josh's video. I need to watch Matt from Rock the Watch and all the other guys here that you see here. And I also need to come up with my own content and put out my own content.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, it is very stressful because, you want to show support because I think that's extremely important. Because I truly want to see every one of you guys succeed.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm a true fan of you guys as well. So, to try to balance that and creating your own content, is definitely challenging and it's fatiguing. Now watch fatigue in general. There is so many watches out there, man, that it's impossible for me anymore to even buy a watch because there's just so many now that I want that I need a huge bankroll to even because I can't just buy one now. I have to buy like 5 at a time because I like all 5 equally,
Yep.
So that creates another stressor, which I know I'm sound like I'm crying the blues over something that I really shouldn't be stressing about, but it does cause a different type of stress. I mean, do you not agree with that? Like that's...
Yeah, I agree. And I think that and I was reading through the comments here too. I flagged this one here from Matt with Rock the Watch. Like, I'm in the same boat. Like I do have a lot of free time on, especially like my days off, for example, but I'm also really busy doing so much. And I want to consume as much of the content from my favorites. And I do. Like, I just wish that I could drop a comment on every single video. And a lot of it's timing. There have been so many comments I've been mid, typing at a stoplight, for example, and then, oh man, I got to get back on, drive and take care of this other stuff. And that comment never gets posted. And it kills me because it's, the thing I really hate about YouTube mobile is you can't do any other action outside of the commenting, or it says discard
and
or say or proceed, and I'm like, no, I want to like pause this video or go back and like I don't want to delete my comment. So it's really frustrating, but it can get fatiguing, I guess is the word, or it's just stressful trying to do it all. So just guys know, like, I'm at the very minimum a thumbs up and one of those view counts, and I try to let it run all the way through because I know how the game goes, but it's tough. And even for me, like consuming watch stuff on Instagram and like shopping on Amazon or eBay and stuff, like I just sometimes have to push myself back and like just take a mental break from it because it can be a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just like anything else in life, man. You have to have balance. And I think sometimes and I'm guilty of this myself, where you become a little bit obsessed by this whole, YouTube thing that it kind of consumes you and it takes you away from some of the other things that you might have enjoyed in life. So sometimes you have to just say to yourself out loud, I am taking a break. I am putting my phone down. I'm not going to create any content today, and I'm just going to go and just do something else.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that 1 day break and then get back into it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think we're probably all in the same boat together as content creators, especially the guys that are here in this chat, where like just the fact that they're here means the world to me. And like Miguel stopping by and he couldn't stay, like I just know like it means a lot. And I know that we all are trying to support each other, and I do the same thing. Like there's bigger channels that I may not watch because they're going to get the love from all the other viewers,
Yeah.
but I'm more likely to stick with you guys and smaller channels that I come across and make sure they still feel the support, drop a comment, hey, keep up the good work, because you need those kind of pats on the back as you're starting out, because it's so hard before you start building kind of momentum.
You know, I watch a lot of the smaller YouTubers now because, you know, I'm a big customer service fan. And when I comment on bigger YouTubers, it's not possible for them to even respond to your comment, let
Right.
alone did they even read it.
Yeah.
So for me, I like the camaraderie, the support, the loyalty amongst us, because I think we can relate to each other. And we also, every person that I comment on, they respond to me. Anyone that comes to my comments, I respond to them. And I think once you reach a certain point, you probably have to hire somebody to respond. And I think it's your duty as a YouTuber to respond to every person. And
I try, man.
if you're that big,
Yeah.
hire somebody, man. I think people really appreciate that, man. And I think that gets lost with these bigger channels. Like, it's just like, all right, I'm so big now, I don't need to do that anymore. Well, I think you do, because honestly, I don't watch the bigger channels anymore. Because I like to have that, you know, I like to know that I'm being heard. And I also like to know that, hey, man, you know, obviously they probably don't even have the time to support you as well. So I like that support that we give each other and that loyalty that we have amongst ourselves.
Yeah. And like Brian's saying here in the comment, you know, he likes smaller channels because it's like it's more real. And I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. Like it is
Amen.
more real.
Yep.
Because you're not, yeah, like you said, it may not be some person you hired that's responding to comments. Like it's me. It's me on my phone or on my computer at whatever time. I know, like it's just juggling it right around. Like I sometimes respond to comments a day or two behind because I might be out of town. Like I can't put YouTube at the very top of my list in life, and it's just not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that I won't come back and eventually like respond and get, you know, try and address. People will be asking me a question. It'll be like 3 a.m, you know, and it'll be like, what's the diameter? How many millimeters thick is that watch? And I'll be like, all right, well, I'm going to get up, take the dogs out anyway. Let me go get my calipers and I'll reply with it. I know it's such a, like, other people would be like, nope. And just, you know, whatever, but they're asking, they want to know, like, why not, you know? So
the biggest thing that I want out of my channel is to give back to everyone that has brought me to where I am, you know, and that's why, like, I want to answer everyone's questions. I want to engage everybody. So when we do our live streams, you know, I want to give everybody a shout out. You know, if they reach out to me on Instagram, I'm definitely gonna, you know, have a conversation with them. You know, giveaways. I mean, all these different ways. I really want to give back, because without them, I'm nothing.
yeah.
And I think even when you become big, you can't forget that, man. You can't forget your roots. But you know, I'm not that big, so like I can't, you know, I can't say how I would be if I'm at 100,000, 200,000 subscribers, you know?
Yeah. And
I
I
hope
think
to say that I would be the same, you know?
and I want to make it clear too, because I know people are watching this and might be watching in the future, not live, but
Right.
it's not all bad. It's not like it's,
right.
I know, like Seeker was saying, you fall victim into the fear of missing something and you get in this vicious cycle, and that's all true. But a lot of it is just enjoyable and seeing comments that make you laugh and interacting. And it's like, it's a lot of fun. I think it's just, there's not enough hours in the day. Right. And I know, like with us doing, the more involved of a video you do, the more editing, the more B-rolls, just more effort just means more time in front of the post-production, more time with, you know, putting effort into it basically. And that just makes it even harder. So
yeah, the
I tip
watch
my hat to you guys out there that do stuff regularly.
The Watchwit actually mentioned something about Urban Gentry finding the balance. You know, I don't watch him anymore either. I mean, He's got a great channel. He's probably the most successful YouTuber when it comes to the watch community. But man, I mean, I just don't have the time to watch it anymore, man.
Yeah, I find it's harder too with the longer videos, and his style is definitely more laid back, which I like.
Yeah,
But man, I'll click on a video and be like 40 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'll probably get into
I'll
like
get
10.
back to this. Yeah,
Yeah, which I know people probably have done with my videos. Dude, my first videos I can't watch, and I'm sure we all can agree to this, right? Like they're so terrible, those first uploads. Like, how do people sit through this? Like it's torture.
well, what's funny is like when someone critiques like one of my first videos, I don't take it personally. I actually I agree with them. I'm like, yeah, you're right. They suck. But when they start to critique your later videos, like the ones you maybe produced like yesterday, you take that more to heart because you're like, well, this is the best that I could do today. But in
Mhm.
another year, you're going to look back on that and say, yeah, he was right. That did stink. But you don't know that yet. Like, this is the best you can produce today, you know? Because when I look back at my first watch review,
Yeah.
I literally had a camera in one hand, I had the watch in the other. So, and I
Yeah.
don't have a steady hand to begin with. So you're just like,
Yeah.
so I have
Winging it,
people,
man.
yeah, everybody's puking in the comments, it was just, it was
Yeah,
horrible.
they're like, make sure you take that motion sickness pill
Make sure
before
yeah,
before you watch my reviews.
that's the disclaimer.
Yeah, and each you find your niche. Like Madrock I was reading his comment here where he can't do the editing, and again, I know we chatted on Instagram and stuff about this with having family and things. It's kind of like you find what works for you and then just keep doing it. And not
Right.
everyone's going to stick around for everything that they want necessarily out of a channel. So you just have to do what you like, enjoy it, and the rest will come, you know.
Yeah, I'm actually wrestling with my channel currently because I'm learning more about this algorithm.
Yeah.
And, your worst critic is yourself. So, so I took a really honest look at my channel the other week, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what I watch myself go ramble on in the beginning like I do, and I'm thinking to myself, no, I would fast forward through that. So why do I expect other people to do that? So what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to just eliminate all that fluff that I put in the beginning because I do like to engage with the audience, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm talking to myself because I think people just want to get down to business, man. Let's get to the watch.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was one of the things that I was doing wrong because with the algorithm, they're not picking up. They're picking up like the beginning part of your video, and the beginning part of my video wasn't even really talking about the watch itself. I might not get to it until like 3 to 4 minutes in. So that's
Hmm.
where I think my viewership was actually low because the algorithm just wasn't picking up those keywords.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm starting to now use more keywords right away, and actually I've noticed a uptick in my viewership. So sometimes you have to
Interesting.
take a really honest view, even of yourself. And it hurt me because I was like, man, I put a lot of time, and I thought that's what people wanted, but
Yeah.
I'm being a hypocrite because I would fast forward through that. Like seriously, like just get to the
I'm
watch.
guilty. I'm guilty of it too. Yeah, you skip through and you're like, let me see the damn watch, and then like
Yeah.
and then it's moving. I know people have said that. Like I never held the watch still or did B-roll, so like we can't see it. I'm like, I didn't know. Like, got me some slack here. Um,
On his watch reviews that so like before I invested in some like these tripods, I did exactly what honest watch reviews would do.
yeah, balancing act.
You'd have like some books stacked up or like a pillow, and then like in the middle of it, it would like fall over. And I didn't have any editing tools, so if I was like 5 minutes in, I had to turn
That's
it
it.
off and start over again. There was no cut, and okay, I'll just do that again. So it's amazing how far you come, just through experience. It's so funny.
Yeah, for sure. And I know with Matt Beer and Watches, he was asking kind of what gear we use for shooting footage. So I use my Canon. I'm sorry. First off, I use my iPhone
That's a
for
great question, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah,
awesome question. We can dive into this because I use my phone for a lot, and then my Canon. I have a DSLR. It's a SL2, and I use that for a lot of the B rolls And for more of the macro kind of stuff, yeah, and you
Takes
can see a difference.
beautiful shots, man. Like
Thanks, man.
I
Yeah.
noticed the quality. Like I could not replicate that on my iPhone. Like I could tell you have a professional camera.
Yeah, you know, and I had a YouTube channel back in the day. We're talking like 2013, 2014, and I dropped a ton of money on gear because I wanted to do it right from the start. I was researching a whole bunch, bought an iMac to do all the editing on, and I had a Canon XH-A1S, which is a professional. It has an L series fluorite lens. You know, the camera when it was new was like 10 or 15 grand, and I think I bought mine for like $1,000. But it was like old style DV tape technology, but it took amazing video, great sensors on it and everything. So that's kind of where, and I eventually sold all that, but I like it being easy, and that's kind of why I use my phone for so much, because I can just transfer everything to the Mac and all my footage is there. Same thing with the SD cards. I just pop it in, transfer everything. So
someone said that my watch was 30 seconds slow because they heard the beep. It's not even the right time, but it does have the hour correct. It's the it's my daughter's pink Casio.
I love that thing. Her first watch, yes.
That's her first watch, yes. That's interesting. You know, I'm gonna reveal something that you're probably not gonna believe, but I actually shoot all my video on my iPhone Pro, iPhone 11, and I edit every single video on iMovie on my iPhone.
You guys blow me away with y'all editing on your phones. Like I tip my I'm actually envious because go ahead, keep going though. Like
like the Casio Chronicles, that was a mini series that I produced.
Awesome, man.
And everything was done on the phone. And the funny story is one of the shots in this series is the Casio being tossed out the window by my fiance.
Right.
So what I did was I put my iPhone in a baggie, and I hooked it up to a hook, and I had rope. And I still remember this day to this day because I remember the look on my fiance's face like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're going to do this? Seriously? Yeah. So, of course, I did it. I had it rolling. I was upstairs. I threw the phone out, and it worked the first time. Great footage. I'm like, all right, that's good footage, but let me try it again. I do it again. Plop. Right on the ground. So I'm like worried. I'm like, this is not a cheap phone. I go running downstairs, and I still remember the look on her face. Like, I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
So I picked the phone up, and I'm thinking, okay, it's an iPhone. You know, it's an expensive phone. You know, it probably lasted that 25-foot drop. So I turn it over, and it's completely shattered.
Oh.
And this was done during
COVID,
like
gut-wrenching.
So there was like no stores that were open. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, this is my phone. I actually use this for my phone. So there's your disadvantage of using your iPhone, especially when you're doing stupid stunts like that. But the footage where it dropped on the ground, I still have that is in the. I was able to save that footage. So
it was the small price to pay. A large
it was
price
worth
to,
it. Yeah,
large price to pay.
Sometimes these videos are expensive. I mean, you got collateral damage, so you know.
Yeah, yeah, so I use Final Cut Pro 10, and the funny thing is, like, because of that software and me refusing to update because I don't want to pay for anything different, I have like this old version of OS X on this Mac because I refuse to lose my Final Cut Pro, and I'm used to it. I like, it's easy for me because I'm familiar with it. I should have gone Adobe Premiere, to be honest, but that's like, if I wanted to get a job in editing, that's what I'm going to need to know. But again, this is just, it's hobby stuff, it's cool.
You know what, man? I mean, seriously, for what? Like, I mean, if you have a basic program and it works for you, then who cares? I mean, as long as you have good content, I don't think people really care if you have Hollywood special effects like the Urban Gentry, who is definitely one of the best that I've ever seen at editing.
Now. He hasn't seen Schwartz Force. Schwartz Force is coming. He's better look out. Check that rearview mirror. No, I'm just kidding. I'd like to get there. I like the entertaining stuff. For me, it's just the editing, and I think we can all agree, right? Like we'd love to
Yeah.
have nice, huge productions, but the time is a big thing. Like it's so much easier to set your phone or your camera, do your thing, and if someone wants to just see the watch, that's all they care about. Like you're good.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well,
sometimes like other videos, like,
look at Random Rob. I mean, the guy's got almost 50,000 subscribers, and he gets right down to business, man. You know,
yeah,
and that's a lot of people just want to see you get down to business. Like, in my own head, I'm thinking to myself, oh, let me do this Casio Chronicle miniseries. This has never been done.
dude, it was so cool, man.
It was cool,
It's
but
one of my
like,
favorite like mini series, I would say, dealing
thank
with
you.
watches. Yeah.
Thank you. But you know what, man? Like, it didn't pay the bills because I spent like 20, 30 hours on each one of them, and none of them are even remotely close to one of my most. I have a video out there that took me literally. It's an 8-minute video. It was actually one of my first videos. It was a shaky one, bad sound, 113,000 views, man. And it took me no time at all, no editing, nothing. So I hope that Casio Chronicles gets to that level one day, but right now it's got a long ways to go. It has not picked up any traction, man.
It could too. Someday it could just blow up.
Yeah.
That's the problem with not knowing, right? And also with algorithms too, like you were saying earlier. Though the effort does not always match the reward, and unfortunately, that's just how it is. Until you have enough of that fan base where they're just loyal and will watch anything you put. Hey guys, I'm gonna eat a bowl of cereal. Check it out. Like
Right.
yeah, some of these YouTubers, they can just do anything and like it's gold. Um, but yeah, I think we struggle with that as creators too, that you want people to like your stuff, obviously. And if they just aren't even aware of it existing, they never see it. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Honest watch reviews. He's the UK Random Rob. He
Yeah.
he's the UK homage Random Rob, man. That guy, he is like the and this is what Russell said over at the Mad Watch Collector. He's like, you're the AliExpress expert. And I'll be
yeah.
honest with you, if I had any questions on AliExpress, I'd go to him too, because I mean, he just nails it. I mean, he gets like these watches that
Man.
I don't know anything about, and I'm like, man, this this San Martin, man, this is like
Go find some cool
definitely
stuff.
creeping up on Seiko. They better start picking up their game, right?
Yep. And I feel like I don't know if it's an overseas thing, and I think I might have discussed this in another video, but it's like AliExpress stuff takes so long to get to the US and go through
Yeah.
customs, and like I would have to really order like a bulk order of 10, 15 watches and have them come through, hope there's no QC issues, and start doing the reviews on them and releasing it. Because to sit there and order one week, order another one 3 weeks later, it just takes so long for them to get here that that's why you see most of the watches I review are usually from eBay or Amazon or local or whatnot. So
That's my fiance there. If you enjoy it, it's always worth it.
yeah,
Do
it's
what you
so true.
love what
Yeah.
you do. She's always the one that always tells me to start listening to my own rules that I make up for YouTube. Number one, have fun, and number two, refer back to rule number one. It has to be fun for you, man. And if it's not fun, then it's not worth doing. And I have to admit, like, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but like the Castle Chronicles was the most fun I ever had. So that by itself was worth it. But as a YouTuber, you do want to see those views. Let's be honest. But I don't regret it, so I don't want to give that impression. So
Yeah. And I'm starting to I'm trying to really give an honest look into AliExpress stuff. Again, like Seeker was saying,
yeah,
they have an 11/11 sale coming up, which is in next week. So I want to take advantage of that, and the pricing is much lower. The same watch from AliExpress will be $20 to $40 cheaper than
then
here.
Amazon,
Yeah.
even on Amazon, yeah.
So you're paying for that premium to get it in 2 days or one day, but man,
Yeah.
I'd love to save some money too.
Here's an Ollie watch I got.
Oh yeah, the
At Ease.
Adidas.
The Adidas inspired At Ease watch.
That font, man.
Let me tell you, man, for $20, this is a really good watch.
Yeah,
And I
the
bought
Loom.
the Loom is good. I mean, like, it's better than Bulova and Citizen watches that cost 5-6 times more than that, to be honest with you. I bought a Tavis. Beautiful watch. 30
Great
bucks.
budget. Great,
You know?
great. Yeah, value.
The Pagani I bought. The Coke. The specs on that is insane for under $100. So, but I'm with you in regards to the shipping. But
Yeah.
I can't say the word. I want to call it Roni Rona. Okay,
There you
Roni
go.
Rona.
Yes.
I didn't want to demonetize you.
Cerveza bug.
I caught myself. I almost demonetized you there. Sorry.
We would have just ended the stream like we're done. No.
Yeah, just
I'm just
abruptly.
kidding.
So Rona obviously does not help the situation. But if you're looking for a huge bargain and don't mind waiting, AliExpress is definitely a way to go for sure, man.
Yeah. It is. I know that, and Matt over with Rock the Watch, he was saying it could take months for them to come in. I had his comment up here, and he was saying, and he had small issues with them, which is always a bummer. Like, you don't want any issues with anything you buy,
right?
Especially something that you wait weeks for or months for.
But they do have a good return policy, though. But the problem is then returning it and taking months for you to, have it come back, and then. Like, I never had to return anything. I don't know the specifics, but I would assume that they would have to receive it to get your money back. But I will have to refer to my expert, Mr. Honest Watch Reviews.
How does it? Yeah, you know what?
How does that work?
Because how does it work? Let us know, because I know with Amazon you have an issue. You have a month right now because of holidays. You can literally. I don't think you have to return things until January 31st. But what's the return process with Ali?
Right.
Like, do you pay? Do they pay? Refund? How does that? I'm curious. I would love to know. So,
you know what's insane too, though? Try to send a watch out to a country like Malaysia, for instance. Like when I did the Pagani design giveaway, it costed me $26 just to ship the watch. But yet, I bought the Pagani design from Ali, and they give you free shipping.
Yep.
So if they're eating that, now you're getting $100 watch for $70-some.
I think
how do you do that?
Yeah, no, I think that the shipping that they're using is so much cheaper.
Right.
Also, because I know Josh, when he did his giveaway, J City Reviews, he was paying like $70-some per watch to ship out.
Yeah.
It sucks because you want to do more I would love to do more international giveaways, but I have to now work it around. I would rather just buy the watch and have it shipped to you from the seller than me go pay 60, 70, $80 to ship it to you, and you have to wait who knows how long, also going through customs and whatnot.
Honest Watch Reviews confirmed that once they receive it, then they'll issue the refund. So in the UK, obviously it's going to get there, in a day or two, whereas from the United States, where we are, it's going to take
couple weeks,
2 to 3 weeks, maybe at best. So
it's a bummer. If they had a fulfillment center here, or even halfway between China and here, it would just make the process a lot easier. And I think that might be something that is just a challenge, and I don't know if it's going to get fixed either.
Well, that's the thing. Like, for me, I would rather pay an extra, $10, $20 for a watch and buy it on Amazon. Yoga Hands just went away. I'm all by myself here, guys. So I'm going to interact with the chat while Dave gets back on.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to be sneaky and give me a second. I will be right back.
It's okay.
It's a live stream, right?
I'm like, oh man, he just let me just have the show. So Madrock, you're saying that you cannot do giveaways. You live on an island and shipping is horrendous. Where you live at, by the way? I actually I missed that. And then Ken Spears saying, I really appreciate the interaction of the smaller channels. Yes, I could definitely concur with that. Seeker, you never pay any customs on tax either. Sometimes you can have the watch sent from Spain or Russia. Okay, good to know.
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah, what was it, your dog? You needed to go out or something?
No, yeah, I had a visitor, and I had to. The dogs, they like to be very vocal, and that's not cool for y'all. So sorry.
That's cool. That's cool, man. The average Joe show it was, man.
just temporarily, you know. Hey,
Yeah, that's the first time I was actually solo, man. I was like, what the heck do I do? I never did this before. I
that's
always
when
have like a guest.
you're like you do the yoga hand, and you're like, all right, guys, we're gonna do
Like,
hand
what do I do
puppets.
here?
Yeah, yep. I assumed that shipping to Canada would have been cheap because when I did one of my other giveaways, I included Canada, and I was curious, and the winners actually were stateside. But I quoted while I was at the post office, I was like, "Hey, how much would it have cost me to send this to?" And I gave
Right.
some just random addresses. Yeah, it was like going to cost 40 to $70, and I'm thinking like, man, just to go across the border,
Isn't that crazy?
it's crazy, man. Yeah. Yeah, even so Curito Etris, this is a friend of mine. It's an IRL friend of mine here, by the way. So he was saying international transit is horrible depending how you
Depending on
ship
how
it.
you ship, yeah.
It's so true. Yeah.
I'm gonna take my earphones out and
Okay.
because I gotta charge my phone because I'm having so
Yeah.
much fun. I don't want to quit. So
You don't want to just disappear on us. You're gonna pull the
yeah,
same thing I just. I
yeah,
see
yeah.
how it
Don't
is.
put the yoga hands up for me. I'm gonna
You're
stay
gonna.
right here.
Yes, Matt, rock the watch, America's hat, and remember, Mexico is America's beard. That's how. There you got the Mickey Mouse hands over there. I always wondered if Canada in Canada, if they like prefer Canada or America's hat. I like Canada, but
Canada.
always protecting your vulnerable bald spot. Yeah, we don't talk about that around here. And actually,
I've
Texas.
been to Canada. Have you?
Have you say that again?
I've been to Canada.
Really? I have. I've never been.
Niagara Falls.
Oh yeah, it counts.
You can still hear me,
uh,
right?
I can still hear you. Yes, sir.
All right, good.
No, I haven't been to Canada. I've been to a lot of the states here in the U.S. up north, but I've never crossed the border. But there is definitely some places that I would like to visit. Maybe in the summer when it's not everything's frozen. But yeah, trying to think also. Oh, there was something else I was going to say about Canada in particular. I just went blank. Anyway, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I know like with watch, like since we're talking about travel, what is your favorite watch to travel with? Do you go digital or do you go like sports watch?
So I have a
I'm just
mind.
curious. Do you take multiple watches?
Yeah, I do actually. So typically it depends. If I'm staying at a hotel,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring watches that I can afford to be stolen. So I'm not going to bring like my grail pieces.
None of them really.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to wear. So like for instance, when I went to the Poconos, I like to wear watches that are more like beaters that I could like get wet, get dirty, get
Mm-hmm.
not worry about it.
Right.
Then I'll have my dinner watches where like I'll wear like something a little bit nicer and maybe a little bit more upscale. But if it's anything where I'm going to have room service, I'm leaving either my grails at home or I don't even trust the safe. So the grails will probably I'm either going to have one on my wrist, and anytime I leave the room, it's going to stay on the wrist,
Okay.
and then leave like the more affordable ones in the hotel room. So that's the kind of process that I go through when I'm traveling. Is like, is it a
Mm.
hotel? What kind of watches can I bring that
So you're thinking more like safety is the priority for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, unless I bring like as I said, unless I'm wearing the watch on my wrist when I leave, I'm okay with wearing like my Breitling or my Omega, but
Yeah.
I'll never leave that off my wrist if I leave the room. I don't even care if it's locked up in their safe, man. I don't trust.
I'm actually it's funny because I'm with WatchWit. I take a ton because I like options, right?
Yeah.
And I do the same with shoes. I take multiple of a lot of things. So even though I might only be um even though I might only be packing up for a short period of time, it might look like I'm staying for much longer. Look at Matt. Why can you hear the 5-0? Are protests kicking off? Actually, have you been having any
My house too.
yeah. Have you been having any issues there because you're in Pennsylvania, huh?
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania. No issues. No issues so far, thank God, Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's definitely a completely different topic that,
I was gonna say, yeah, I was just curious, so because that came up, but yeah,
that was
you know,
actually that went by the way, in case it wasn't the cops, not this
it was the
time.
good it's the
Yeah.
good sirens.
Yeah.
I think like I'm not so much afraid of something happening to my watches because I have and I know we talked about this briefly over the phone at one point, but I'll share it with the other watch owners out there. Like I have what's called a valuable personal property policy. So it's attached to my homeowner's insurance, and the way it works is it covers jewelry items, not just watches, but rings, necklaces, anything really, any jewelry items. Um, and it's like minimum value of $100, and it goes up from there, and it covers not only if they're stolen but if they're damaged or lost. So if I'm out fishing and that sailcloth strap snaps and it falls into off the boat into the ocean, that's covered. Or if someone steals the watch out of the hotel room, or if I knock it up against I'm at the shooting range and I bust it up on something, all that's insured. Like, so
What
it's kind
happened?
of nice.
Like, I don't know. Like, for instance, I have like a 20-year-old Breitling.
Mhm.
How are they going to determine value? Are they going to give you what you paid for it, or are they going to give you what you would basically get for the comps online?
So you have to be careful with the policies that are out there, but the one that I have is full replacement cost coverage. So if it's valued over 1,000 to 2,500 minimum, like if it's more than that, you definitely want to have like an appraisal, and you want
Okay.
proof of ownership of all your watches anyway. But let's
Yeah.
just use the example of your Breitling. So let's say if you had the receipts, you had everything you needed, appraisal, whatever, and they can't buy that exact same watch in that condition, then they
Right.
would pay out the cost. But
Okay.
if let's say you could find one that was the exact same, maybe even year, model, quality, condition, all that, but it cost more than what you paid, well, then
Mm.
the insurance would still pay you that amount to buy the same thing you had. So if it can be replaced, they will. But
Yeah.
if not, they'll just pay you out
That's cool.
it's worth. It's really nice. Good peace of mind, man.
I saw down in the comments, someone brings 15 watches with them. On
Yeah. Yeah, on his watch is 15. He's like, hang one suitcase is just watches, and the other is clothes.
own 15 watches, so you're pretty blessed there, buddy.
Yeah. Yep. I think the most I would probably take is probably like 4 to
Yeah,
5. Yeah.
5. That's what I brought along with me at the Poconos. I just brought about 4 or 5 with me.
Yeah, honest watch reviews. The guy checking the bag on the way back had to take them all out and check them. He just wanted to see your collection, man.
I
It's
know.
just
Top that pulls over to Lamborghini is like, you were driving like grandma, but he just wanted to see your car.
yeah. Just open up the hood real quick. Yeah. That does happen. I think I don't know, traveling, I've never had, and not even locally, but very rare do people ask about the watches or make comments about the watches. And this brings up I read a article where this guy was talking about, do you remember a company that used to, it was kind of like you could rent luxury watches, you paid a fee, they'd send you a luxury watch, you could try it out, and then you returned it, and then there was like a queue, and I forget the name of the company. Do you remember hearing about something like that?
I mean, I know there's something like that with exotic cars, but I've never even thought about that with watches.
There was a company like that that did it with watches, and I remember reading this article. This guy wanted to try it out, and his test was, do you actually get any recognition? If you're wearing that Rolex, will you get a better seat on an airplane? Will you get better priority treatment, stuff like that? And so he kind of, as a journalist, was like trying this service out,
Right.
and it was interesting because he said no, like you don't get
Yeah,
preferential treatment. But he did say one thing that was interesting is he had a interview with this guy, and
that's
this
what
guy,
interview.
yeah, he had he was on like a yacht or something, and that the interview was supposed to be like 15 minutes, and the guy kept looking at his watch. I forget which watch he was wearing, but because of that watch, the guy was like, you know what, let's do lunch, and they started hanging out, talking watches, talking other stuff that may not have occurred if he was wearing something else. So
Brian actually has a question that I actually was thinking of bringing up myself. Like, does anybody ever even like notice what's on your wrist? Well, I'm going to tell you, like, I can't tell you how many times I've worn like my Breitling or my Omega and never got a single comment. But
we look at everyone.
But yet I could wear something like this and they'd be like, "Yo, that's a nice watch, man."
No,
you know.
But yeah, but I find myself looking at everyone's watches all the time, or like their wrists. You know,
right.
I think the heartbreaking thing is when it's a great watch and the person is not a watch person. And so it's kind of like, I remember this one lady I came across, she had a Rolex date just, and I was like, wow, it's a really nice date just. What reference is it? And she was like, what? No, I bought this like 10 years ago. Just not a watch person, you know what I mean? And I'm like, damn.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel kind of awkward like when you're checking out another dude's watch? Like, are you afraid somebody like, yo, like, what do you like me or something? Like,
as long as you don't do it in the restroom, I think it's fine. Now, if you're looking over, that's a problem.
Like, yo, man, what are you doing, man? You looking at my junk? No, I was looking at what's on your wrists.
Yeah, my eyes are up here. I love it, Travis. That's great. Yeah, I don't necessarily find it. I don't think it's weird unless they catch you. At which point, I will make a comment. Like if I was just observing, and then they are like see me looking at their watch, I'll be like, "Hey, that's a cool watch," or "I like that watch." But maybe even if I don't necessarily like it, I'm just curious what it is. I'll still compliment it just to be like remove any social awkwardness.
Travis L, that's actually my brother. He's the comedian of the family, so you know.
I see that. I loved it. Yeah, his comment made me chuckle. And then I like how and Kevin saying the only time you find someone notice what's on his wrist is at a watch AD. And so I guess that's kind of to be expected too, right?
That's the only time I'll ever get a compliment on my watch. Like, obviously, if I'm walking in with my Omega Seamaster and I walk into Omega, obviously they're gonna say, "Oh, nice Omega." But we have one that's newer. Here's, you know.
Yeah, of course.
$5.
I like this too, and I think we've all seen this with Apple Watches being the primary thing on people's wrists, and it's a bummer. I get it, activity monitors, but
man, like all you got to do is just put a strap on your It's basically like your smartphone shrunken, like a shrunken head, and you'll put a strap on it, and you can't call that a watch, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that's a watch.
Yeah, I think it's funny how you can change the face of the Apple Watch to be whatever you want it to. Like it's all in one.
For instance.
Yeah. Seeker, you crack me up. He used to be into bikes and his ex-wife never believed he was checking out the bikes, not the girl.
That's the other problem you run into, man.
Could be a problem.
Like got that woman's Rolex, right? Yeah, right. Is that your wife in the background? She's like, yeah, right. I'm still not buying it there, Dave.
The challenge you're going to have is when you compliment the guy's watch and then his wife is like, hey, find your own, man. And then you're like, no, it's the watch.
True story.
Yeah. So Brian here says, just ask him about it. He says, and mostly they'll tell you the story. And then 70% of the time, they're also watch enthusiasts. That's a pretty good chunk of the time them being into watches. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if typically a non-watch enthusiast is going to compliment your Invicta or your Casio because they're recognizable watches.
Right. They can relate.
Or they'll be like, oh, is that a Rolex? When it's clearly not a Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
I wear my Tavis and a non-watch collector will be like, that's a nice watch. Is that a Rolex?
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah, you know, whatever you want it to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think people recognize the brand probably more than the design a lot of times too with those luxury watches, Rolex in particular for sure. But I like how Ken, I appreciate this because he's saying, and I know you do too, Average Joe, where he'll spend more time watching channels where he relates to the person
Yeah.
and not necessarily the best video quality. That means a lot too because that it's hard to have high production value right out the gate. You know, a lot of times you have to build up to it, learn a lot. Um, but you are who you are, you know what I mean? So if people like you, that's awesome. And then for people hate you, I guess it
Yeah.
works against you, you know. But
Best compliments that I get, and this happens more than once, so I'm actually starting to believe it, is that people say that I am, they believe that I'm an honest reviewer, that I'm true to myself, that, I seem to be the same behind the camera as I am, in front of the camera. And to me, that is the ultimate compliment.
yeah,
The ultimate compliment isn't like, oh, you've got the best production quality and you have the nicest watches and this, and I don't care about that stuff. I do this channel because I want to relate to people and I want them to trust me, because honestly, the reason why I started my YouTube channel was when I used to buy watches, I used to do my research first, and part of my research was looking at reviews of watches.
hmm
So, but for me, like as a beginner, I wanted, a lot of these guys were talking way over my head. They were talking about NH35 movements, and they were just talking all this gibberish that I had no idea about. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a channel for the average Joe. Oh, that's a great name for a channel. So
yeah,
um,
it is.
I wanted it to be relatable to the average Joe. So I wasn't necessarily even, my target audience wasn't the urban gentry crowd per se, even though I'd love to have some of the subscribers come over here. But
Sure.
I was more of the average Joe that just was like looking for a watch for themselves or for their loved ones, and wanted to speak on their level.
Yeah.
You know?
It and you can't fake that. I think that when you're real, you are who you are, and I know I gravitate towards that. I think like and this tying into our main topic about like snobbery, like you know who I like? People that aren't snobs. You know who I like? People that aren't always negative, bashing everything, tearing everything down. I want people that are going to support and build it up. Like I don't care what your social status or your classism, like any of these other factors don't mean anything to me. Like if you're a cool dude or a cool gal, I like you. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm?
that's what I like.
That's important, man. You know, and you can't fake that. People see right through it. And again, that's just the ultimate compliment to me, is just someone saying, you know what, I think you're a nice guy. That's why I watch your channel.
Yeah.
Well, like that's exactly what I was trying to do. So thank you.
You know, the comment that okay, so because you've gotten your fair share of hater comments. We're talking about the love, right? I'm gonna go the other side.
Yeah.
I think the comment that made me laugh the most, that was a hater-ish style comment. It was just flat out hater. Is a guy that said it was something to, and I can't quote it because it's no longer saved, but it was something like ugly watch, ugly house, ugly guy. And I'm like, bro, like you just
Man,
like, man, you
getting
really went for the jugular. Like, he had to attack everything, just everything about like my house. I'm like, you haven't even seen that much of it, but yeah, he was dead set, ugly everything. And I couldn't help but laugh. Like, man, this guy's got problems.
I have this one hater that still, like to this day, every time I have a video come out, that one thumbs down is this guy. And I know exactly who you are. You're probably watching me right now, hating on me. And I love you because you're helping my algorithm. So continue to hit that thumbs down because you're just helping me out. But I mean, dude, you're gonna have haters no matter what, man. You just gotta laugh it off and just be like,
That's when you know you've made it. When you have your haters, especially dedicated ones. Like I think one of your haters came to my video and thumbs downed it. I'm like, it's not even it's like it's not even his channel.
anyone that's associated with me is gonna get that thumbs down. So
I love it. It cracks me up, man.
and this is the same guy that like went on to J City Reviews channel and started to knock on him. And he started talking stuff about me on his channel, saying, "Oh, he has his daughter on Average Joe," and all kinds of stupid stuff that was like, yeah, I have my daughter on there, and if you don't like it, you have the right to shut it off, man. Like, this
Yeah.
channel is just for you, man. This is for me too. Like, I have a daughter, and I love the fact that she's involved. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Yeah. And
You know?
and you know, and majority of the comments are people that do not have a channel, that have never tried to create anything from nothing. It's so easy to just go and bash stuff, but
That's one of my favorite comebacks is, someone will be like, "Oh, you're doing that wrong." I'll be like, "Well, I mean, I looked at your channel and I don't see any content. What's going on? You're just an armchair quarterback. Show me how it's done.
yeah.
You can't just, tell me I'm doing something wrong and just leave. Show me how it's done. Show me how
Yeah.
it is, you know?"
Let's see. Let me see you do better, please. Or show me your collection. Yeah, come spend my money. I'd love to see what you'd buy. And sometimes one thing that I will do with haters in particular, when they dislike my watches in my collection, particularly homages, get a lot of hate. I'll at least ask them. They're like, sell all these pieces of crap and buy 3 or buy 1, and I'll be like, cool. Give me some suggestions. What do you recommend? Because then at least I can kind of see where they're coming from. But most of the time, I'll be like, all right, like those are nice, but in my eyes, they're not like so much higher than what I have in my own collection, you know?
Right. Exactly. But I mean, as Honest Watch Reviews even said, he was like, it's still interaction, so it's still helping your, what's my brother saying?
I had to post that up there. You should replace the adjustment strap on your hat with a watch strap. You could probably sell that to many watch enthusiasts. You should make that a money making thing right there.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be on my channel one day, man. He actually doesn't even like watches as much. He's not even a watch enthusiast, really. I mean, he has like a watch, maybe 2 watches, and but he's not really into watches. He's just here to bust my stones, and
Yeah. Hey, we love it.
I'm happy he is. Thanks for joining us.
And it's true though, like with the YouTube thing, and I don't know if trolls and haters realize this, but interaction is interaction. So a thumbs up and a thumbs down will still generate in your favor. Now, obviously, there's a ratio. The dislike can get to a point where it starts to affect you, but
You're
for the
helping.
most, yeah, you're helping me out. Oh, cool, man. Hey, we got Dave from Just a Watch. Thanks for stopping by, Dave. Man,
What time is it in Japan?
yeah. it's it's funny because we've jumped around on so many different topics too. I feel honored that you're here, brother. Like, by the way, this being my first live stream and to have a major YouTuber and supporter, man, you just made my night. So
Well, Dave is so humble that he considers himself a medium-sized channel.
oh, okay. Well,
This guy will have
large.
he'll be like, I'm still a medium-sized channel. Like, he's a very humble guy. He's a church planner over in Japan, and
Yeah, it's awesome.
I seem to gravitate toward them because Josh over at J City is as well.
So he's saying it's almost lunchtime there. You know, it's funny because with my work schedule, sometimes Dave will be having a premiere go on, and I'll have enough time to where I can like hop in there when it's live, and jump in and drop some love. So, but a lot of times I end up having to watch them later, at a different time. So it's cool.
So I don't know
Dave's,
if Dave knows this, but he's actually in one of my favorite videos of all time on my channel. When I did the interview with him on the Snoopy watches, just the conversation back and forth that we had, and just that video, first of all, it was the first time that like I had someone on my channel to interview.
mm-hmm.
And he was just so warm and interactive, and it just really, I really appreciate it to this day, man. And it's still my favorite video to date, and I've done close to 200 videos, so hopefully that means something to you. But you being a medium-sized YouTuber, in my eyes, you're a big YouTuber, but for you being a medium-sized guy, I hope that means something to you. So
Yeah, I think it's awesome that and Dave, I know we were talking about like sending love to, smaller channels and stuff. Dave is still one. my loyalty. I always go and check out his videos. So in my eyes, major YouTuber for sure, brother. Yeah, it's funny too because like seeing how other YouTubers have grown and looking at their older videos, as I'm sure people do with us too, like and will do in the future, you kind of see like the production go up a notch and the flow
Yeah.
of things a little bit better. And I know for me, a big change was like getting a teleprompter, like helped out so much because yeah, having a script and reading through it really elevates, just cuts out all the rambling like I'm doing right now. So yeah.
So am I like one of the few YouTubers that doesn't use a script at all? Like, and maybe that's why I'm like a babbling times. But
So you don't do you do an outline or anything?
I don't do any of that, man. I just kind of just feel it, and if I mess up, I turn it off. I'll do a little more research maybe, and then I'll go back on. But I like to try to just be as natural as possible. The only thing that's scripted was like the video I just put out tonight, the Star Wars one, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Citizens Watches, and
I haven't watched that by the way, so don't be angry. It's on my
yeah,
to-do list.
but you know what? I actually got some really good feedback in that video, and I can't disagree with the guy. But he said that he thinks that I should stick with my usual videos because that one just didn't really work out for him because I didn't really have a rhythm or a flow, and
Mm-hmm.
so that I guess that you know that I had kind of a script and it wasn't as natural. So commenters, like, if they do it in a nice fashion, I really appreciate it. And the guy had a lot of guts to come out and say, look, man, that didn't work out for me, but I really like your other videos. So
Mm.
I do thank you for having the guts to do that. And I did take that to heart. Like, I didn't take it personally. I just said, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
I either need to do better next time or stick with what I'm good at, which I'm still
Like,
trying to figure out what that is.
and like you said, you're testing out the waters and doing different things too. I know, and I'm really impressed. So Dave was saying he writes an outline, but mostly he spends a lot of time editing. And
Yeah.
I will do one of the two, and it's usually just yeah. I'll either have a script and try to stick to it, or yes, ramble and just edit and spend so much time in post production.
Absolutely, man.
And then let's see, honest watch reviews. He doesn't script, but has some bullet points. So it seems like an outline or kind of hitting the certain things, and you kind of get into a flow, right? Like when you look at a watch, what you're going to talk about, and have a certain order, maybe. But I
So
like that. So
so for me, like, I don't like to do outlines or scripts or anything because, like, when I do a review, I actually don't know what I'm going to say about the watch until the camera's running. So you guys are getting an honest reaction
yeah,
watch. And that's the fun of, I think, that for me is that when I was reviewing this, the Addies, I didn't know what I was going to say about it. I mean, I knew how I felt about it, but once the camera's running, the lips just start moving, and then I press stop. I'm like, there's my review. I had nothing
yeah.
to say, but it's like one of those just really honest and from the heart things that it's just like, here you go.
You know what? And I can appreciate that. I'm not as disciplined. Like in other words, I will, like when I get a watch, if I'm going to do a review on it, I'll use the Gallant as an example.
Right.
I'll sit there and like really stare at the watch, different lighting, and really get a feel, because especially with brands that cheaper watches, there's really not a whole lot going on, but there will be some brands that you look and you'll see all these layers or there's just this different effects or depths of features that are going on. And I'll have to kind of make points, bullet points, or outline it out and really know like there's some intricate kind of things happening with this watch. Um, and then I'll review it. But I know, like, for me, I have to always do my intro and my outro like 2 or 3 times, whether it's scripted or not, because it's sometimes it's just I can't do it in one cut. So I'll have to have, and I might even splice some from one and the other. But
Uh, yep.
yeah,
Also, like your energy level is different. So like what I said might have been, like, in my intro might have been good, but I was like, man, I sound like I was dead. So I need to like wake myself up.
yeah,
Uh, there's so many different components that are in it that people that don't do this have no idea. And there's a lot of people that can criticize you because they think it's so easy, but wait until you try it, man. It's a lot more difficult than you think.
Yeah, and I think like Brian here, like a brain surgeon, I'm gonna go in there and dissect this thing. Um, yeah, cut into this real quick. You know, the thing is that I guess what I've learned, and the reason I do it that way is because I've done some reviews, and after the fact, it's uploaded. It might even be a month or two later, and it's already got thousands of views. And then I look at the watch, and I'm like, dang it, I missed this, or I should have pointed that out. And I can't. And now it's like, so I try and be a little more meticulous and like make sure I don't miss anything if you know,
Don't
going over the.
pressure yourself, because you know what? I could take one watch and I can make 3 videos right off the bat, because you do the unboxing, you do the review, and then you do a long-term review. There's a guaranteed 3 with every watch that you have. And
Yeah.
you can make even more if you get even more creative. So don't kick yourself in the behind yet. Like, just, you know, take a chill pill and be like, all right, I'm gonna get to it next time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know we had Honest Watch Reviews, and we reviewed a similar watch from Reef Tiger. I love Reef Tigers. You guys know that already. And we both had this, like, it says it's a sapphire crystal, but his was testing as mineral. I went and on my review, I say, oh, it's sapphire, because I didn't have a diamond selector. And so I like go and test mine, and I'm like, oh shoot, you're right. Like, this thing isn't ringing up as sapphire, but other people have commented that theirs does test as sapphire. So I don't know what's up with that, you know. And it's kind of like you gotta mention that, like, so in the next review or update I do, I have to point that out, like, hey, this is, you might not get one that's actually sapphire. This may not be the case. So
Well, I can get away with mistakes because my channel's called Average Joe. So it's not called Expert Joe. Trust me, I make a ton of mistakes. And if I get called out in the comments section, I own up to it. I mean, I don't have the pride that a lot of people will have and just argue with somebody just so they can be right.
yeah.
So you learn a lot in the comments, because there's a lot of like very well-versed people in the comments. So, you know, if I make a mistake in a video and they call me out, I thank them for it. And I try not to make the mistake again. I remember for one video, someone said, you never do lug-to-lug measurements, because that's how a watch really sits on the wrists. And you know what? I never even heard of it before. And I thought, I'm like, that makes a ton of sense. So
I might need to do that.
You know, so I love the commenters down below. I'd read every single comment. Just be nice about it. Like, you can give me a critique, and you can give me the same critique. One guy can do it in a really bad fashion where they're just attacking you personally, and they can do it in a way where they're just like being very helpful but saying the same thing.
Right.
All right. So just be respectful down in the comments, and like, please, I mean, just act like treat people the way you want to be treated. There's always time to be kind, right, Dave?
Hey, I love it. Golden rule. And it's so true. Like, having a YouTube channel has actually made the way I interact with people too on social media much different, because now I'm on the other side. Now I like, you know, I may not like this. I'm just going to keep my comments to myself, because
that's true.
They might be having a great day, and this might make them have a not so great day. Whereas the opposite, they may be having a bad day, and saying something nice might just cheer them up. So it's definitely opened my eyes to that. And yeah, man, I like how what Dave was saying earlier. I showed it on there. Like, if you have the energy to entertain trolls, like, go for it. I don't, like, I've thought about it, and I'll have an awesome response, and then I'm like, they're not gonna come back. They're never gonna come back and reply to it. So I just drop it. But yeah,
you got to be careful though. Obviously, when you feed the trolls, they're going to come back for more and more and more, because, you know, all they want is attention. They don't care if it's negative or positive. But you also have to worry about your own reputation and how that looks on you.
Yeah, for sure.
My motto is, sometimes the best answer is no answer at all.
Yep.
Radio silence.
Just leave it. Just brush it off.
And that usually pisses the person off even more than
yeah.
But you're also doing the right thing. You know, you're shining yourself in the right light. You're never going to win against somebody that has nothing to lose. So it's like, for me, most of the time, I just ignore them.
Yeah, you got to, man. You got to just let it, like a duck, just roll off. I appreciate it. So Seeker was saying, just read this comment where he's saying one of his favorite videos I've done is the cinematic exploration of, I've only
Yeah.
done two of them, one being the Feist Royal Oak and then the Rocos. That's a series of videos that I want to do pretty much on all my favorite watches in my collection.
Mhm.
A lot of work, a lot of time that goes into it, but
A lot of editing with that.
um, yeah, but I enjoy it. Like those are some of my favorite. And I don't say a word. I don't go over any specs. It's just here's the watch in different lighting, different up close macro shots and
Yeah.
footage, but they're a lot of fun. So I know some people don't like it because they want just reviews, or like some viewers may only want certain videos, and I get that. Like, but I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do what I want.
Exactly. Number one rule that I have fun. You have to like it yourself, because if you don't like it and you put it out there, people are going to know. People aren't your subscribers, the viewers, they're not stupid. They know when you're not being genuine, and they know that that you're not enjoying what you're doing, and therefore the video is gonna be like, it's not gonna be so good.
Yeah, right.
So you got to do it. Don't sell out. If you love doing those, do more.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you reach a point, like I have watches on my like list of things I need to get done. I feel bad. I have one from a company and the guy is like, "Hey, you got my watch?" And I'm like, "Hey, I promise I'm going to get to this, just give me a little more time. We got a lot going on. We just had our elections and all this other stuff." So that's on my to-do list for tomorrow. But um, yeah, man, it's a good problem because initially I was always worried about, oh, am I going to have enough time to
Right.
I'm sorry, am I going to have enough watches or content to put stuff out regularly? And
Uh,
now I'm just like,
Let me tell you
yeah,
something. There's an infinite amount of content you can create. I was even just thinking the other day, you don't even have to have a single watch in your collection to have a YouTube channel, because you can just basically just, you know, do the history of Seiko, the history of Hamilton, or new releases of this watch. And it could be all just dictated, or I'm sorry, narrated by yourself with beautiful pictures and stuff. And you can never even own a watch. But
right, right,
if you want to really like have your audience be connected to you, I think having a few watches in your collection, definitely makes you a little bit more plausible. Like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He has a passion for watches. But
right.
yeah,
Yeah, totally. I know it's getting
it looks like Brian's going to bed. So
a couple of the guys were, and I think we're about to wrap it up too. We're going on almost 2 hours. This is a lot of fun, but I really want to end on Brian's comment. It was perfect. He was saying like, remember, if it doesn't tell a story, odds are it can still tell time. I love this. But if it can tell a story, it doesn't matter if it can or not. I think that's so awesome.
that's
We
deep.
all we all have watches, right? That are pieces of time, moments in time that celebrate something or were gifts. And I love that. And I think that there are those watches that are strictly tool watches that have no real meaning but serve a purpose. So I
Right.
think that's such a great sentiment to end on. This was
Yeah.
a lot of fun, man. I love
I
this.
can't believe that was 2 hours, brother.
I know. I feel like that would flew by. So
I could do this
I
for hours, but
we got to do it again. I would love to have other guests. The fact we had so many YouTubers and content creators and fans in the chat made my night. So thank you guys and gals to
yeah,
y'all for the support,
thank you.
for checking it out, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know we covered a lot of different topics. I tried to touch base on comments from everyone that were chatting too. So thanks again. But Average Joe, appreciate the time. Anything else you want to throw out there?
I'm honored, and I just want to comment on something that Dave said in the comments, where having a YouTube channel, I had no idea what I was getting into, man. Meeting you and a lot of the, like Josh and Dave from Just to Watch, and just so many other guys that I can just name all night long, Matt Stingray and all.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have thought that I could actually meet like actual friends through
Right.
doing this. Like, it's really cool. So it's a really good fringe benefit. And the other one is I haven't bought a watch in so long now, because watch companies send you watches, man. I guess I never would have imagined that would happen, man. That's such an awesome fringe benefit of having a channel.
Yeah, working with companies, and for me, meeting people around the world. You would
Yeah,
have never crossed paths with
right.
any. I know for a fact I would have never rubbed elbows with you guys and gals. So it's I second that. So
I
amazing,
have a
man.
really good friend out in the UK. His name is Adrian Sales.
Same here.
Right?
Yeah,
He's just a genuinely nice guy. Somewhere in time is his YouTube channel. Please, the guy is growing like crazy now, man.
I love it, man. Love to see it.
He's so humble. Like he reached 100 subscribers. He's like, I never would imagine. Now he's at 200.
Yep.
You
And
know?
it'll only get more and more from there. So love
Yeah,
it, man.
yeah.
So
So
cool.
it's amazing, man. But that definitely the fringe benefits of YouTube channel for sure.
Some of the perks, yes. All right. Well, we will do another. Thank you, Schwartz Force, and I hope you guys enjoyed the yoga hands. Let me get one. Let me throw that out there real quick. And I'm gonna hit up. So Honest Watch Reviews, he was asking where everyone's at, and I'm gonna say Texas here, deep in the heart of Texas.
And I am in the outskirts of the Philadelphia area, in a suburb
There
unknown.
you go. You're like, that's enough.
No one's going to know it anyway if I say it, so I just say Philadelphia because everybody knows Philadelphia. So I am just outside of Philadelphia in a suburb.
Sweet. Well, we will get to all know each other more. I would hope that I can have a lot of the people that were in our chat, that a lot of those guys have them on in streams as guests, or maybe I can be a guest on their channel at some point. So it'll be
Absolutely.
a blast. But y'all have a great night. As always, remember, may the shorts be with you, and
Always remember that there's always time to be kind to one another.
there you go. All right. God bless. Y'all have a great night. Thanks again.
Thanks again, Dave. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
All right.